The Doom, especially the demons. What are they, where they come from, and what their purpose is? Well, it's quite simple. First of all, the most ancient demon on this earth dated from way before its beginning. In some culture is known as the devil, also mitote, also the deaths of things, and also, let's say, an antichrist, or a spirit that is evil, or like a plague. So, in other words, what is must be known about the demons and the doom is that they reside in your shadow parts, in the places that you don't get healed properly. Don't get to heal properly. First of all, what a demon's targets usually? The people that are low on mood, finances, and any other faculty that is not, let's say, well acquired. Usually it attacks the mind, yes. If your mind is programmed by some doctrine and doesn't let you to think different and put it's putting some boxes to encapsulate your thinking, then you might be attacked by a lower density entity. This can happen to appear in humans also. Why and how? Well, firstly, they attach to any human that is vulnerable. That human may not why, let's say, dwell well in its day-to-day activities, and it can give in your most, say, wished cravings like sex, alcohol, tobacco, extremes, pleasures, finances. Anyway, it's about ponderation to keep this as distance. So, also, as every demon requires some misery, it will usually team up with another one. So, for say, let's say, for the sake of saying, devour. This is what it does. It's simple. It wants to consume your light, to consume your essence of life. So usually these demons just look at life, how to control it, how to control your life, especially in the physical plane, and want to deceive you by contracts, by selling your soul, by giving in something dangerous and not giving details, insincerity, lying, hiding behind covers or behind other people. That's why in hell, let's say, they have something like legions and like all the things that are pretty sick, like departments of who tortures who, and demons usually fight between each other for power. Usually, the all military systems that exist even today are based on that, let's say, grades made in hell. Well, anyway, if we don't do war, then that is great because we also learn something. Also, it's not about hating this enemy. It's present there to be loved also because if it's a spirit that is so old, older than time, and it wasn't given a name, and it doesn't want to have a name from my experience with it, yes, it happens. But this entity, it can called also mitote or the devil, tries to infiltrate from the people that are on low vibe to get near you and hurt you. These kind of entities don't usually have so much, let's say, vital energy. They feeds on the fears and teaches you to also understand the proportions of their living, of how they try to exist in a world that is quickly awakening from this slumber of sleeping. And it also doesn't have a body, so it usually goes to a direction filled with what it means mechanistic or robotics, so it can control it and enslave an entire planet just for their own sake. But usually, if they do that, they will just be just themselves and be pretty sad of things, or they will need to feed on other things later. It usually like a leech, like a parasite. It wants to consume anything. It just doesn't stay in the same place. It moves around and it's very deep. This thing is way before our coming here on this planet, so it's about taking care. Yes, because they are mischievous. They try to operate on discussing thing with you so they can learn about you better, so they can counter you later. Also, their let's say limits are based on the person that they possessed. So if a person have some, let's say, particularly lows and highs, this entity will usually dwell between them and even try to overcompensate it, but not so much. But it requires a lot of sincerity and even protection from this. So you may not want to say stay with that person for a long time and don't get in touch until it gets healed, because a demon is naturally an entity that takes out his ring above the head to live independently, but when you don't have the circle or the halo above your head, then as a demon, you might just go a long road alone and trying to just, let's say, overstimulate yourselves on pities. As entities governed by light, you have this connection with the divine, and a demon can't enter this because that connection is secured by the light force. So, anyway, is the dance of light and dark, but if you must accept that also too much dark can be engulfing, like I said before, and too much light can be blinding. It's about temperance to don't get in fanaticism or extremism or any other things, and don't try to change the word's meaning, because usually the demons, that's what they do. They try to change a meaning to something they can exploit, to something they can bend and can also make fun of you. And when they get to the extreme of making you angered at them extremely, they usually win if you don't calm down. But they are also very cowards. Cowards, yes, because in the moment you catch them, they usually try to hide because they are discovered and they want to go into the dark. So if you bring them to the light, their acts, their doings, they will quickly just turn around and pretend they don't have this type of things. Like, as you can see, these horns, these wings that are not so nicely, but oh, cool design anyway. And what else can you do? Then concentrate to focus on things that you can arrange in your life, taking one thing at a time, taking care of your priorities, of your doings in the matter of words, choose them wisely, to have some silence with you. Also, you can try cooking because it's like a oath. It's like a place of silence in this, let's say, war of thoughts, if you don't have peace yet. Anyway, to arrange yourself against these types of entities that are here is about what you manifest. So if you radiate, usually these things can get attached to you. But they also try, through different people that are badly wounded on that matter, infiltrate into that body and try to touch you, to sting you, to put some marks on them from them to you. So it's about keeping distance and also cleaning the place, just making some, let's say, scratchings on that part, and putting some water can help. Having salt at you can keep you very well protected, but it must be thrown after some months, because salt can be also very, contained with some energy, and it doesn't have any more power, so you must replace it. Also, salt is not about throwing it off on the ground or in the air. So remember these two things. Never throw salt on earth, on air. These elements are banned from salt usually. And salt can be, after you use it, of course, salt can be put in water, thrown there to be washed, but you don't know what it caused to that water to behave, because that energy it stills there. So don't throw salt so easily. And also fire can make a purge on this. So usually the fire is the best place, because water is very circulative in the environment and can affect it, but is the second. The fire is the first and the most perfect thing. It can destroy all the impurities, and it must be also watched, because if you leave too much fire unsupervised, it can burn you. So each element has its perks, but also its cons. So temperance, that's the key. You must keep a temperate mind and don't make assumption about things that might happen, especially if you don't really know the person, if you don't really know what's happening to them. And don't just try to avoid speaking too much bad words or cursing, because when you curse, you use the power of the demon, of that devil, of that mitote, so you imbue it with your life force. So it's not well advised to do it. You just might want to switch to another word, but don't curse. And I try so often to do this, because after you curse, you realize that you released an energy that was floating around, and after that, you find what was the real matter, and it wasn't so big to curse. So first of all, I had so many loadouts during the Halloween, like this one here, or like this one
My
here,
shadow shall darken all creation.
or like this there.
Long shall my name be.
It was Halloween.
My sword flare.
Anyway, it was a costume for Halloween, and of course, after you earned it, the Dota developers decided to don't use it anymore, so they take it away, even if we earned it through that event, until next time of November, because it's a limited time and space for using. And I wasn't very happy about it, but I hope the karma will do their work. But also, I speak very bad, so I'm very sorry about this. Yes, sorry, not so nice, but I tried the best to, realign myself, to avoid the past mistakes, to be good lessons, and maybe to pass them later, so the doom won't thrive into this new era. Because the darkness is not something to be feared, but to be understood. For this remedy, we have this.
The ancestors teaching you.
Okay. It's about the shadow and the shaman. Yes, you must be your own shadow shaman. You must know your first things about yourself, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to create, what you want to dissolve from your life that no longer serves, what is in surplus, what you can share, and what you can work with. So you must have your talk and your walk. Your talk, it's about being kind and also about being inclusive about what you did. So you must have a good judgment. It's okay to judge yourself, but not condemn yourself. Also, there's the talk. The walking, it's about going and being in community, with all the four elements. It's something from Avatar that said, the Uncle Iroh, something like all the elements come from the first place, but people differentiate them. But all are the same in essence. So you must first go to the elements you're drawn to. We have also a lot of knowings of astrology, astronomy, so you can watch the stars, how they move and impact this life, how the, let's say, corpum, the bodies of the celestial things like planets can affect the life on Earth, because any given body to a position affects that environment. It can affect it. Just think about it. Uh, I will make two parallels. First parallel, I played a match in another game, Team Fortress 2. One teammate didn't play but stand on the point, on the control point, and then a team wanted the first, wait a second, last seconds to capture the point, but they go into the ragdoll of that body and they blocked and they didn't win the game. So we basically win because we have an AFK player. So this is my first statement. A body that exists there can make a huge difference. It's just about standing. It's enough sometimes. It's enough to just stand there. Also, the second statement and, let's say, situation, you can think in terms of energy and matter and also chemistry and biology. If you have, let's say, the moon that affect the waves and tides on the earth, and you have Saturn and Mercury and Pluto who have some chemical elements in their composition, and you have fire that reflects or refract or also contribute to send some energy through that planets into the earth, it might affect something, because it's like a lens that is charged with a symbiote, yes, a symbiote, a matter, a thing that gives some more energy that is charged with that element. So that is why some astrology matters can come to the light. Like if you are born between an interval when that planets manifested some energy, you get some specific traits based on the period, and no other, let's say, uh, zodiac sign can be like the last one in all the matters, because we have a whole astrogram about it and a whole build about the things that can be, shared with somebody who can understand this. So we have all these builds, all of us, who can commute with other builds if they are learned how they commute properly, because the misunderstandings usually do the sabotage, and the people who do a person who is doing sabotagings are usually persons that don't know themselves and let other entities leech to them and take control of their actions. And also, you must be an assumed person to know your doings and your thrivings, so you don't repeat the mistakes. Okay, now that you understand about how we all being born according to some planets that manifest some energy, like some type of lens when you came to the Earth. Um, I also want to think about the other perspective, the biological one, when you are inside the womb of the mother, yeah, of the mother, and what it eats, what she feels, what she can see and analyze and think. You feel as an infant, like that embryo, and also you manifest some kind of interaction with your mother, that is your body, and that is why the Freud pointed specifically about the mothers and children usually connection, because it's like that tube of connection that remains still until to the last days. These are some etherical chords that you choose before your borning, so you can choose your parents according to your spirit ways of learning and doing your best things there. And the biology of the mother affects the biology of the child, but also the spirit of the child manifests some second aspects to how the mother feels. So if you feel one way or another, it's something that is also from within, because all of us have a soul coming from the source, from the God, and these devilish ways try to take it, but they can't really. They can just lie to you. They take it so they can take advantage of you. So if you say no, I want my spirit back, or so on and so forth, they will say something like, "You can't get it back," and you say, "Oh, yes, I can, because this is my spirit. It doesn't belong to you. It was mine. It was given, by the creation itself. So you don't have power over it." And in that moment, the spirit will go like, "Ah," and try to deceive you even more, because this is their deal. They deal in illusions, and sometimes even in Sith Lords absolutes. But if you want something back, you can pray for it, you can work for it, and you can earn it by your, let's say, conscience. Because your conscience is trying to speak with you, especially in the mind, with the good and the bad. And if you're relenting on the bad things, like the things that give you only pleasure but hurt others, and also you in the process, because we are all connected, and our conscience know very well when we do that on that or there. We usually just stay with that tide, or we can change it. We can always change it, and we can also choose what to renew from our life, how to embody something that you have, but you can manifest it now because you're aware of it. You're aware that some spirits want it, but they don't want it properly just for their use, but they use it for fun. So it's about don't falling down. Okay, so here we have a name of a demon. It fold again. Incredible. Okay, this is some kind of little sabotaging thing sometimes. Because, negative output is not very well advised, and you must sense these things. Lizards. Okay, so we have to deal with some kind of lizards. Yes, I get one day ago lizard type statue picture from a friend who wished me some kind of curses, and I was like, no, 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 this is not for cursing, this is maybe for thriving and giving some more harmony. I was some kind of ignorant at this, and I don't accept it. It's just so simple. You just don't accept these kind of things, but you can feel them.
My word, come forth!
Yeah. Your heart knows things, but also the mind can help you, but the spirit and the divinity is within. So you must conclude also how you feel about things, how some detours can save you, how some plans that get cancelled can help you see the reality within, and also see the reality of others, because we are all in some kind of battles. we all have some kind of, let's say, detours, some kind of pressures on us. And these kind of pressures are the things that previously hurted us, but is the best gift ever. Your own box of darkness that just waits to be opened. But watch out, it's like a Pandora box. Uh, the shadows can be there, but you must acknowledge them. They also whisper something. So also, this spirit of the devil or mitote that has been long before time, it's also like a teacher to what don't do, to what to don't do. Yes. Mm. If you try, if you just try and keep moving, you can find your answers. You must first search not in let's say regular science or something that is just in some extremes of limits. You can go beyond them. Each one has its gift innate, so you just find the things you can just feel. There are no coincidences out there, but lessons, and also some hurtings. Because if you don't guard yourself, well, things might happen. You know, the destiny is not a thing that is written. If it's written, you rewrite it as good as possible with the purest good intent and be clear about it. Because if you try to do some harmings on some people and you play games with them, then you're not good. If you play games other than video games and you try to create this type of labyrinths to block them, then I have some news for you. You might be played and be a puppet. You might be a puppet for some things you don't want to accept about yourself, so you're projecting on the others with the help of being with another misery friend or company. But deep down, you will wish for that friend to help you. Yes, it's about self sufficiency sometimes. You must rely on yourself. And if you have somebody near you, you must take care of it also because it's your environment. Uh, the thing about tolerance is about don't having tolerance over the intolerance because it might be spreading. So if a person is doing a wrong thing and you know to judge, let's say, a doing by your conscience, by your truth that you speak, you must want to warn it out. Don't start a fight over it. That's not the way. Just give it a warning about what might can be misunderstood about that situation. Because we all have a perspective over a thing, and sometimes it can get squishy, twisted, but at the end, it's straight as true. Because true always emerges like the sun. So, thinking about all the things that happened, you will all have, like I have it before, and also I will have if it's needed, because you never know what might happen. It's a reborning cycle over and over again. Like each day, you have so many aspects in nature that you can observe, and nature wants to help you, but also might be judging you based on what did you do. And the trees can see you. The nature can see anything you do in a special any place because nature is everywhere. Even if you try to hide it, it's everywhere. And that's the best judge, usually the nature, because it contains the ancestral Akashic records of what you did until now and also about your ancestors, some things about their conscience and what they lived, and they are also in the earth memories, like the water that has memories. Also, water is an alien. I don't know, it's a joke, but you never know. It's so volatile and so floating around. So the things about these creatures, that they call themselves demons and don't want to tell their names, because if they tell their names, then you can address it and even try to find some details that were written before by our ancestors who really know about these things. Then you might get to clean them, might to get them out, so you can just be yourself within with yourself. If something bad happens to you, it happens so you can consider what you've done before. And when you find the revelation that is like an aha moment that helps you thrive, that make you accept some things and understand them about what you did and what they lead to, then you might know that sometimes the God wants you to send signs, but not as harsh. It's not about being harsh, but about moving on the right tracks. And sometimes the right tracks, well, are pretty tough. This year has been a lot tougher. It was a lot of, let's say, from distance analysis and exorcism before it was too late, because no person here on earth wants to die. No. This is, I think, very important. The gift of living. The shadow parts try to take you down and so on, but it's just about looking at them and saying, hey, this is a part of me. I must accept somehow. I must explain it to me. I must revitalize it. So these things happens natural. But if you work on them, happens accelerated. So you might also want to take your breath-ins, pauses. Also, the air is the best drug possible. Just because you can drag on air, this is incredible. Oh, thanks God, we can't ban air. Oh, how about a breathing mask? Oh, we can breathe anyway. Oh, okay, unban these masks. But the thing about the masks that were imposed? Well, now that are taken off, people will express themselves. So sometimes it can be more considerate about it, because now, after this long period of, let's say, staying inside, inside, you must know what to do and not what to do to a person. All these raging fires that we throw externally are also internally. So the thing that we don't address to us, we address to somebody else as a need we want, as an offensive type of thing. Like, I'm offended by that, but I'm not willing to work to just bring this to light. I want you to do it. And this is laziness. And laziness, it's a sin, because if you don't work on that, well, who else can find you except yourself? Because you know yourself better from all the people. Any person has some variances of knowing you in some aspects, in some connection you made with them, even if you're totally, fully, let's say, honest about yourself. Some people cannot flip it so instantly, but more and more we will realize this. We'll realize when a person is very matured, when they also assume they are a child at heart, and also a teacher at their maturity about their things they might avoid. Don't be, a sneezy, grumpy child or a hurting one, but one that can be well protected and having play when is the need. Because some people tend to be so childish when it's not the moment. I also tend to say, me included, well, I like to enjoy life, but anyway, some people try to decide that it's not my way, or why do I do that, and why do I express this kind of myself. So I'm something like, well, I have to do other things now. I have to do things with myself, but not with you, because you cannot share this for the moment, and maybe for this activity in particular, because I see you're not attentive about your inner child, about some aspects. So we keep moving. And also we take breaks, you know? Water. We take some pauses. Also, the bad spirits are so cowardly over some symbols like this mask, Ekibukao. Anyway, it's like a spirit mask. What does it right? The visage of the Ekibukao will be the last thing your enemies see before they cross the final hill into the great gone by. Yes, the great gone by into the nothingness because, you can also enter the void, your void, the gone by, where other elements from outside can't enter it. It's your place of silence. That's the void place, the void of silence. This helps you ground yourself and be in complete silence without your mind coming to disturb you. Your mind is in accordance in that moment with your spirit and your heart, and it just chooses to don't speak. It's a matter of respect. It's very hard sometimes to get your respect of your mind if you don't follow some steps to imbue it with some clearance. And this clearance does not come only from critical thinking, but also a kinder way of your heart and the truth way and the straight way of your spirit. So, in other words, any entity cannot affect you, cannot enter you, and cannot stand where you are. It might choose to go behind you, near you, rarely front, but they will go front if it's in a body of a person that is possessed but by that lower density. But they are coward, and usually they try to go from behind. Because if you're direct, especially with this so low type energy, they know they are very vulnerable. They really know it. Just that is why they hide. That is why they try to make sabotage. That's why they try to do some things in the shadows. Because that shadows is the thing that guards them, but they really don't know that these shadows are also their callings to wake up because they're in a dream state. They're in some kind of hypno state. So subconscious try to tell them something. Don't hide. Be honest about it. And when they say no, well, things might not get their way because it's not what you want, but it's about what you create and what energy you put out there. So be considerate and kind always. These kind of things can be healed, but there can be a lot of people who tend to say they are healers, even though they don't have a pretty good, you say, practice in their day-to-day lives. But hey, we are all here to help, and we can learn some techniques about it. But only the ones who are really healers will come when you consider it and if you feel it, because it can be also be a false, false presence there that might try to block you. So rely on your instinct. The instinct is a thing that signals the fear of the dying body. The fear of the dying body. This come with a, let's say, in view of the reflex, when you have cat-like reflexes, because the body knows something that the spirit doesn't know so much. Well, the spirit knows also, but it knows that it's temporary. So the avatar, the body, and also other things that you embody, uh, knows how to be the best potential to survive. So this instinctual fear tells you somehow to understand the risk, to don't hold fear, but vigilance. To be vigilant about things, not vigilante. No, vigilant. To be well acquired in the ways of your sentient thoughts. Don't trust always your thoughts, but put some questions to the ones that are not so naturally, that are twisted somehow, that deserve to give another how and why, and why is this happening? Because we all have friends anywhere here, animals especially. They are great masters and can be also great students if you learn them how to behave well, but not with violence. Violence is not the way. Usually, it's a fear. It's a fear of accepting your wound and treat it properly with care and kindness and tenderness and naturally. And the good presence that if somebody is not for you, you might consider to be yourself. This is the thing. This is the serpent word. With this very word, no secrets are safe, no location hidden, no weakness unexposed. It's about your reptilian brain. You all have this development from when we all get born, before we get created as humans, we were only primates, and then we were created with some other surplus of DNA, like, reptilians, Anunnaki. We're a team project somehow as humans. We are very interesting to other species. We have great potential. We were very well acquired in our ways, but this serpent word with this description, wow, cool description, developers. Thank you. Help us understand that we also have this fight or flight or stay instance for survival and later living in us with a reason to conserve ourselves as a species, and that we are also very social and gregarious to manifest some kind of self healing and reciprocal healing to others. Uh, when the first glacial era came here, it was not something that we really needed because it was harsh condition, harsh, very harsh. So we had to hide well in some caves because we're primatic in that time, and we also have to fight something even more dangerous than spirits, our own arrogance and superiority. And even in that times we have some conflicts. It was about survival. It was the worst place ever to be on earth in that period. Enjoy this life now. This is great. It's just great. Yes, that's the deal. With the living in the moment, it's very well when you take some parallels from the past, on the parallels of other people that they also have it harshly and we can help them. But in that glacier era, well, what could happen that our planet that is living just decided to say uh, things not got very well, time to freeze things out. So you might wonder, something went wrong, something was bad, really bad, and after that period, we may lived many experiences from body to body, avatar of avatar, and so on. We are all avatars, so at least watch this series are great. Just poor cool learning, and cartoons are for are from art and are for every age. It's about the learning and enjoying this living. So don't go with predisposition or preconceptions or prejudices about some things. See if they vibe with you. Yes, is the best way. So after you go to that stage of learning the reincarnation, also happened, and some vivid dreams we have from collective consciousness or unconscious or subconscious, because my can be various databases about it, and I didn't figure them out properly yet. uh, you also know that were some kind of diseases then. When you have the bubonic plague, you know you had the plague, this kind of plague that we had today. Well, we didn't have it. It was, oh, corona, okay. It was a placebo-like, but might consider it was the cure for some things, because in seclusion we learn about ourselves more and more, how to treat others decently later in the future, and don't get trapped in some kind of other sickness, like material plane that goes with buy these things, and you're happy, but anyway your conscience will say to you, this is not you, you will not be happy if you search for these meanings, they are useless. So you might try to find your true vocation, to know your real place of action, and it might be art sometimes, because we're all artistic. So what is the deal with you have only one life? YOLO. You only live once. It's about now. Because the previous lives, yes, they might come with some lessons, with some karmic lessons and so on, but you can just, understand them, acknowledge them, don't bypass them, don't acknowledge some things that repeat, and then go further to living right now, because the future, well, it will happen. The past already happened. Now you happen. Now you really happen. Now you really manifest it, and you really have all the resources needed, even though you might not consider it, but you have more than, let's say, one object in your room. So if you or on you, like clothes. So if you have more than one object, then you have objects, because it's two at plural. Consider this. You have things, and they are tools. They are not the true meanings. They help you live, but they don't make you live necessarily. Well, unless it's uh, some kind of uh, you know healing procedure or machinery that thanks technology for so many things that created life, but not in all the cases, because things can be dualistic and sometimes hidden, and until we don't get the full view on that thing, we must not take some actions of so much go in front with your head on things. Don't be a bull about this kind of things. It's about considering your focus can be just up front, but if you don't see the left and right side just before you cross the street, then you might know that it will work to just reconcile the view. Don't just throw it out and hope it will be a masterpiece. No, you must also have some sweat on it, because also sweat, also tear, also joy, they are all manifesting in a way that it's creative, non-destructive, non-harming, and yes, really enjoying and building. So you are your own architect of your life, but consider some little traps that comes your way, that try to come you nearby, come you come to you to find another things that might not serve you well, because they are not your things. They try to convince you. That's the thing. They don't let you choose. They try to convince so much and so much and so much. That is disturbing, and you consider that part. Yep, you might consider it. Good. And now, after all these happenings of the new, a new era.
I am Rubik, the Grand Magus.
You might want to not want, but to create. A silence pause. Yes, we are going into new findings. And whatever somebody tries to sell you or get you sold, well, it will try to use your mind. So you can just refuse it. And if you've done something before, like, uh, thinking that you sell your liberty, your soul, or your belongings, then you just might want to ask, God, can I have this back? Can I work for it? And God will say, well, are you ready to do it? I will help anyway. And God helps, and you must act. And that things are not really taken. It's about the illusion. I just repeated, but it's very important, this statement. I consider it. Don't think that all the things are lost because they are rewiring. You just find a new way out if you enter a place of anguish. Because this place of anguish is illusory.
Nightmares follow me into the light.
Well, nightmares are temporary and don't consider nightmares. They are some symbols that warn you. And also,
Strength guides me.
anyways, always, and sideways, it's about your strength. And your strength is something that you already have, you already developed, but you must just describe it. So then it's better to use your words as shields than swords. Because if you use them as swords, you hurt people. That's very real because some people are kind and they let you in and then you do some hurt things that not nice. That's not nice. But if you don't just apologize, but focus on don't doing these things like you did before, that is a great plus. It's about your consciousness that is awakening to the thing of accepting who you are and then rewinding it, rewriting it, regenerating. And after you admit the mistake, you just make one step closer to forgiving. And yes, forgiving is a two steps sometimes because after you accept what you did, the next step to forgiving is repairing it. So you forgive yourself by finding a way to just repair it. But if that person doesn't want you anymore, then it's well entitled to it. So consider this: you did a bad, but it's about what you do with your life to share some light with the others that you didn't hurt. So if you do that, eventually the things will go very well in any way. But have a decency in your doings each time. At least one good thing per day can help you go away from the runaway of the pain. Because pain can be temporary. It comes with a lesson, it comes very deep sometimes, but also the treasure behind it. And it's a treasure that it doesn't have a price. It's called experience. And experience, along with some knowledge, can transform into a great wisdom of being tempered and assumed. And when you are this kind of person, you really know what you can do, what you cannot do, and what you might want to reconsider because you can might sense a duality there within. So you might address this with yourself. In that time, it's good to even talk to yourself. Yes, with loud voice, like I'm doing myself right now. Yes, but I'm doing it so I can slow the pace of the thoughts. Because all the thoughts that you have come into your mind and they are rolling, they are rolling, they are rolling. But if you speak, as you might see, we go to slow that pace a little more so we can track our real purpose and find balance. It's all about the right face. So speak with you kindly, openly, even drastically if it's needed, because none here on earth is without the sin. So let's not be just so much hypocritical. And after you've done this, you are headed to the next step, and that is community. Community unity. But yes, yeah, you must find friends like alike that can understand you. It's not a necessity to share so much things or to exchange so much things, but to get along with, even the trails, even the adventure, and even the causalities that you can adjust but can't control entirely. Let go of control is chill. It's about being your own wave of chillness. And yes, the heat tells you something, the cold tells you something. If you get this heat and cold, are for some moments for you to get aligned. Like right now, I speak so much and really from my heart, if I can say it, that my hands got so, let's say, warm. Sure. It's so, yeah, a message. It's so warm that now I feel energized by it. But before it was so cold because I was not expressing my throat chakra and also my other chakras. So these are differences that we must acknowledge about, you know, energies transformings, very subtle but very defining about our state and bodies can do. State of mind, state of spirit, state of body, but not, state of where you are living, because any state tries the best and their best control also, so they might also want to learn the reconsideration, because we're all along on this planet, all on this canoe, and until we don't go well with these things, we will just be enemies one to each other. And war is the real enemy. War, not us. There are just These are just misunderstanding and infantility at work, and victimhood and dramatism. Too much of it, that we don't focus on a real task of behaving properly, and that's a matter. That really matter. Om. Yes, for donating things can help you. Behaving well, understand right now. This is a state where you can focus. You can create it anytime. Your own laboratory is your own body. You can cure anything with it. It's all matter of vibrance. You might just want to do it on a daily basis if you feel it. You already know it. You already have experience, past lives to live this life. So simple. But yes, we must address this. We must know how to use our words, to know differences about words, to know when people are misusing them, to correct each other, but don't get mad over it, or don't try to over concentrate or on, you know, correcting others when it's not the case. So ponder it, and well, the aliens might come when we are no longer in need of projecting things to other and be just so selfish, because we're a community, and if we are well with ourselves, aliens might come too into physical bodies. Until then, they are just into intra-dimensional, trans-dimensional, or just hanging around, trying to do their best, the good ones, and just hanging around doing nefarious deeds, the other ones. And we also have in this plane spirits that try to send us some messages, neutral spirits, bad spirits, well, good spirits, according to their past lives or their existence until now, on how they are polarized on their energy. And they want also something and some reliance on us because we are more aware of these dimensions than them about our dimension entirely. Because we have a kind of living, they have a kind of living in ancestral ways, or shadow ways, or um, transparent ways that helps us to be assumed about our points, and again our place to integrate these whole aspects of multi-existence, multi-dimensional beings like we are. But each one of us might have some, let's say, aspects or differentiating aspects of dimensions that others, yeah, different aspects of dimensions that others might not know yet. So stay with the people that can help you at that time, but don't condemn people for some roles that they have played in your life until it's no more theater anyway and anymore, because that's sincerity, and we all try our best there. We all tried our best, and thanks God that we have a limited existence in these bodies, because after that we can do a lot more, well, according to our soul and deeds, because there can be judgment day in any day, and even after your days. So be kind, always be kind. That's the secret. Oh, how I must live? I must have power or be famous. or be wise. No, you just have to be kind. That's it.
Surrender to the omniscience.
So, in a biblical way, the rapture is something like the bad energies that are just taken away from your body and etherical body and bring it to the light to get purified and helped and, you know, regenerated. So, this these experiences we have, we might just want to reconsider because we are all in our own ways of doings. So, what can we share more than joy or humor? This helps a lot, this heals a lot. This also might bring your shadow parts that, well, they also part of you somehow, or how much you decide of it. Because nothing is so permanent than change. So you might shift your perspectives and your activities, and you might shift your doings later. And this is another flow, not so damaging. No, it's just so revigorating to see in a brightened way that you can do it, that you can tell it how it feels and be open about it. And some people might not be in tune with their heart chakras, but you might just guide some, part of their journey because later on, make sure that things can happen and other people can help too. Because you know what happens when you get antagonized by some people, it's maybe the time for you to take a break from them. And later on, they might consider your way, and this is reciprocal because even they, their life meant something in yours, and slowly going on your ways of adventure. Slowly but steady, and if you want to make things go faster, well, they go anyway because it's just time. It's something like it happens. But your present, your present moment, it's a gift. Like Oogway from Kung Fu Panda said, we have so many wisdom around. Uh, and if you think about this, present can be taken away. So many person try to do this because they are, you know, self-deprived of their self. But your present is your present. You understand? And if you are near somebody, try to make the best. Try to work on your flaws, but not before you acknowledge them. With this said, I guess this year helped us a lot to know about what we have done and how to reconcile these parts. So, for the next year, I might think there are two rules, or one rule: always be kind and understandable. Have a great day and night, and don't give away your day for the night because, night is for the rest sometimes. Uh, well, obviously. And day is the best part because in the light, that light anyway, if you stay much in it, it gets colder. Yes, because it heals in a chilling way also. You might know that in the light, truth emerges. So anyway, peace in thoughts, silence in emotions, perseverance in your actions. We go on, and also don't forget, be kind and understandable. See you soon with more. Be kind and understandable. And now,
Be careful where you wander.
be careful where you wander.
This beginning marks their end.
Indeed. Yes, a new reborning. And also, what can be more than a silence? Indeed.
A hush falls on the battlefield.
And also, from the ashes, we might rise. Be cautious, be wary. See you soon. Be kind and understandable, it's so simple. Yes, indeed. Doo-doo.
I cast a long shadow.
My hammer is ready in the service of the all-knowing one.
It's the Juggernaut.
Oh, it's the Juggernaut.
From knowledge comes skill.
And be kind and understandable. Do-do-do-do-do. Boo. Do-do-do-do-do.